Hello, and here we are then, Chapter 7, Highway 17. It's delicious every way you slice it. It's a welcome break from all the zombie-infested nonsense back in Ravenhall. This one is crawling with cool little tidbits, glitches, and out-of-the-way details that can really blow by if you're not paying attention. Like, for instance, did you know there was a ghost of a combined soldier in this chapter? I mean it. Yeah, no kidding. It took me years and one hell of an accident to even figure this one out, but there he is, that guy spraying me with hot lead from the upper deck of the crane up at Dock 137. You know, the one with the Northern Petrol warehouse. Unlike the rest of the Overwatch squad that's already spawned and engage in antlions when you arrive, this guy takes his sweet time to make an entrance. You can actually see this guy spawn on top of the crane where he wasn't even there 2 seconds ago before you climbed the ramp up to the old jetty. But that's not the best part. Make a run for the crane, but make sure to hold your fire, right? Don't whack this guy, we're gonna need him. Climb the ladder to get into the crane's cab, then quickly climb back out. He's got to be a ghost, otherwise explain how he's there 1 second and gone the next. And if you angle this one just right, you can actually see him disappear right in front of your face, just like that, poof, gone. What makes it so curious is because it's not common at all for enemies in Half-Life 2 to simply despawn like that, right in front of your face. What's next? Bring cloning himself in front of my own face?
Doctor.
Speaking of elusive things, the G-Man does show his ugly mug in Highway 17, only once, and I want him to die today. And there he is, chatting to Colonel Cubbage Odessa at your service. Check out this binocular set up in the rundown house on the coast, just across the water. Very rarely in older versions of the game, he can be seen literally despawning, like poof, gone. But like I said, I want him to die today. Though normally invincible to player-inflicted damage, we've already whacked him in Water Hazard using manhacks. Now let's see if we can make it happen again. Normally, you don't want to waste your time trying to catch up to him at Little Odessa, it's no use. He'll be gone by the time you get there. The trick though is not to use the binoculars, just keep driving past the house, up the coast until you reach Little Odessa. Now go see Colonel Cubbage down in the basement to collect the rocket launcher. This will trigger the gunship to attack the outpost as soon as you set foot outside. Don't bother, right? Just hop back in your buggy and double back to the binoculars. And there he is. The G-Man having a little confab with Odessa Cubbage while the gunship absolutely tears shit up around them. Soon enough, the G-Man will get pelted with hot lead and drop like a fly. Now double back to Little Odessa, knock that ugly piece of shit out of the sky, and go up to appreciate the fruit of your effort. That must be the weirdest haircut I've ever seen yet, but at least this guy is dead. And curiously enough, the Odessa Cubbage on the balcony talking to the G-Man isn't the same guy in the basement. In fact, they both can coexist at the same time. To be completely honest, it takes Noclip into Little Odessa to see them both at the same time, so that's technically cheating, but still, there's one, and there's another one right down in the basement. What's really fun is that both can be whacked by normal means, no cheat commands required. Again, it's not as simple as shoving the crowbar up his arse sideways or pulling the trigger. The game will negate all friendly damage, that's just how it is. But there's one cool trick that allows you to basically not cheat but trick the game into thinking it's the object itself doing the damage and not you. The trick is to push something heavy, like for instance this, metal cabinet, but in a way that it bounces off of a wall or another object before hitting, the character. In this way, the game might not be able to figure out it was you doing the damage and instead think, well, it's just the object killing the character. Now obviously it takes a little practice and luck, but it's totally doable. And of course, watch out for mission failed because this guy ain't supposed to die. But if you push this thing upstairs with the gravity gun, kind of a hassle, but it's worth it. Jolt it up the stairs until it's right in front of this other Odessa. This one folds like a cheap suit as soon as you hurl the cabinet at him. And this one being only a cutscene prop, You know, the fake one, not the real thing. The game goes on like, it's all good. Shame, this trick doesn't work on the G-Man. He can take this thing to his face all day and still stand tall and proud. There goes my plan to smoke him twice. But yeah, these rebels on the board hanging around in the same basement, that trick works. We can take it a step further and have fun outside by tossing explosive barrels and chucking the buggy. Like I said, simply pointing and pulling the trigger at friendlies won't work. It takes throwing a barrel straight up into the air, so by the time it hits the ground, killing a rebel, several seconds have passed, and now the game can't just think it was us. Knocking the buggy into the rebels works pretty much the same way. You gotta make sure it bounces off of another surface like a wall or something, or hangs midair for a split second, confusing the game. Oh, and sometimes these fellas will respawn, stacking right on top of each other, or even inside of each other, which is like brain damage guaranteed. Oh, and by the way, the guy that greets you into Little Odessa, he's essential, so he can't be hurt. At least I haven't managed to do so yet. But here's the deal, he will dog you relentlessly until you've met Cabbage down in the basement, which kinda makes me wonder if he will follow me anywhere I go. Like underwater. And yep, there he is. He must be like, I'm not giving up on you, buddy.
Hurry, get in the basement. We're expecting gunships at any moment.
What's really cool is that eventually he'll just give it a break, he'll say his piece, give it a break, and then just stay down there at the bottom. Forever. Not drowning, not getting peeled apart by the leeches that infest these waters. Just chilling. Speaking of the water in Half-Life 2, yes, it is a hazard to wade more than 10 feet off the shore, reason being the leeches. These little buggers act as a border deterrent, a way to keep the players from wandering too far out of the way, which makes sense from the gameplay standpoint, right? But otherwise, it's just ridiculous. Think about it, Valve made Freeman capable of swimming, gave us all this water, and yet for all that, there's not a single place in the game where it's even safe to swim. It's even more ironic that Tommy Vercetti going tits up in neck deep water in Vice City. And then, why leeches? Like, what never made any sense to me, isn't Freeman rocking that slim HEV suit? This thing keeps him alive while he gets pelted with military-grade weapons. Fire, radioactive sludge, yet it can't keep some leeches off of him? I get that his face isn't protected, but even keeping your head above the surface still doesn't make a difference. They should have just gone for that dinosaur thing. It would make a lot more sense if you were gobbled up by one if you strayed too far into the water. Tell you what, let's talk about
damn train!
Remember that razor train you have to beat to the other side of the tracks before it knocks you sky high? Well, guess what? It's possible to bring this razor train to a full stop simply by placing junk on the tracks in front of it. Rarely the train may get stalled out the second it runs over the object, but more often than not, it won't stop until it reaches the force field that seals off the tunnel nearby, which can't let any foreign object, however small, pass through. So placing, let's say, a pot or a skillet or whatever between the train and the force field will jam the train so bad it will just quit it. Funny enough, it takes so much as touching the train to get yourself killed instantly, but that only goes as far as the actual train cab, not the rest of it. Oh, and that Overwatch squad that mans the village nearby, they can be lured out into the oncoming train's path, only to get run down like a bunch of dummies. Come on guys, all he had to do was dodge the damn
train!
But it only gets better from here. This train can actually be ridden. Stack some crates to climb on top of the old train cars just the next track over. Then wait for the raisin train to come blasting by. Then just leap and land on the razor train. The ride won't last very long though, as you will be knocked off the train the second you get to the tunnel with the force field. Like I said, the force field doesn't really like foreign objects, and Freeman, being a foreigner, he ain't a damn train, so that checks out. Also, you don't really have to race against it to the other side of the track. I know it kind of looks stamped in, but you don't have to. Just leave the scout car behind, safe and sound, while you get out and move on ahead on foot. Just stay out of the train's way and you'll be good. Soon enough, you'll set up the trigger that spawns the razor train. Just let it pass while you stay out of its way. Then just hop back in the scout car and carry on. And one other thing I wanted to mention about Little Odessa is this fella who mans the watchtower. It's hard to pay attention to anything other than the gunship, but this guy is downright stupid. I mean, look at him go, having a standoff with an armored aircraft that can only be taken down with ground-to-air missiles, while this guy is armed with a 9mm submachine gun. I mean, against that thing, this little gun might as well be shooting spitballs. But not only that, but during combat, he'll even go as far as taking cover to reload. Taking cover, right? Look at that. He's literally out in the open on top of a tower. What a dumbass. Alright fellas, this was part 7 of my 100 little details that you may have missed in Half-Life 2, chapter Highway 17 specifically. There's a lot more to this chapter than meets the eye, so I'll see you guys in part 8, or part 8 overall, but part 2 of Highway 17. Ciao.